Hello and welcome to season 2, episode 13 of Jacked Up Being Frank. I'm your host, Jack Punters, here with my co-host Frank Areno. We've got a loaded episode today. First, we're going to recap the wild card games and the biggest takeaways from the playoffs. Not in order, but then we'll definitely dive into Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. Who's in the mix? I mean, the Mets are in the mix. We'll mainly talk about them because they're the home team and they offered him $50 million per year AAV, and that's a big thing. And we'll see what we both think about that. And finally, the Giants have officially hired their new head coach, John Harbaugh, the biggest name on the market. Um, First big coaching chip to fall. We'll break down what this means, what this brings to the table, what he brings to the table, and what this could mean for the Giants moving forward. Let's get into it. I'll start. I'll start with you. What stood out most to you from the wild card games this week?
Go.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I mean the wild card games. Well, let's get right into it. I mean, what was the most like thing that stood out to you? I mean, I was 4 for 4. I mean, 6 for 6, right? So let's get into it. What's your thoughts on the wild card?
I mean, it was a really exciting weekend of
Very
football.
exciting. Very exciting.
It was really good. I mean, the first four games were really good, and then Patriots Chargers wasn't too good, and then the Monday night game wasn't too
Was
good. But
expected. We expected that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I mean, you
it
expected a
kind of
little
makes
more of
sense
a
the
fight.
way it went, but the first four games were
Yeah.
better than I expected because like they were really, really good. I mean, I don't think anybody could have expected them to be of that excitement level and entertainment and the quality too. I mean, we really treated the four really good playoff games.
Yeah. We definitely were. Um, yeah, the Bears do it again. I think that's one of the things. I think the Bears. I mean, man, they do it again, and they are on a kind of team of destiny thing. I mean, it's not like they're that team, but like they've won a lot of games like this, and they continue to win against the Packers in a very impressive win. I don't know if that. I mean, they're going against the Rams, which will Rams. I think they're going against the Rams. Yes, they are.
Rams play the Bears, yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, this was a very impressive the way they win football games close to the end. They really take over the game at the end. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson really takes over the game at the end. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, we were thinking about this thing about how the Bears, their style of winning might not work in the playoffs, but it did. I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I've doubted them week after week this year. And I think they're gonna lose this weekend. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just keep doubling down and picking against them because I just think at some point the run's gonna end. And I thought it was gonna end last week and it didn't. And they just have an incredible ability to come back. Caleb Williams is incredible when the pressure's on and the clutch. So obviously they deserve a lot of credit for it, but I don't like. I thought the Packers were the better team. But look, the Packers are done. The Packers blew two big leads to the Bears in the last few weeks of the season. But I just like it doesn't make me think that the Bears are going to win the next one because now the Bears are going to be playing an even better team. A lot of people say the Rams are the best team, even though they're a wild card and they're the fifth seed in the NFC. Look, they're in a loaded NFC West, right? So that 5 seed is misleading. I think the Rams are 12-5. And again, a lot of people think the Rams are the best team in the NFL or nobody's better than them. So it's just like the Bears, it's incredible what they've done, but I'm not at a point where I'm like, okay, like they're just going to keep this run going to the Super Bowl. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I just think this was a thing where the Packers were flawed, and I think they were a team that definitely was a victim of what the Bears want to do because they're flawed. I mean, it's not like they're gonna be like other teams.
They're flawed, but they were up in the game. It was similar to the regular season game they played the few weeks ago. Like I still say the Packers are the better team, but they can't close the darn games out.
No, it was they couldn't close it out, and now the Bears
I mean, the
turned the
Bears
tables
should
on
have
that
lost to the
rivalry.
Giants.
What?
The Bears should have lost to the Giants.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it right now. Like the Bears to me are going to be a team that regresses next year. It's kind of like Washington this year. A little bit different, but like I said going into this year, and again, I get plenty wrong. I didn't go 6-0 last week, and I was 4-2. But coming into this year, I said I don't think Washington's going to be good. I picked the Giants to beat them week 1, which was not even close. But I said coming into the year, like I don't think Washington's going to be good this year, and I think they're at least going to regress. Like whatever, they were 12-5 last year, went to the NFC Championship game. I'm like they're just due for a regression in the next year 2 of their their program now. Like Daniels did get hurt, so that was a big factor. But the Bears, and again, this is looking ahead to next year, but I just view them as the same thing. Like they're good, they're building something, no question about it. But they've won a bunch of games at the end, coming back double digits down in the fourth quarter. It's great. Like it shows a lot about them, but also like at some point the ride's going to end.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm blatantly disrespecting them, but
yeah,
I feel like it's justified.
It is. I mean, they have a very talented team, and they the rise isn't just like because they're winning these. Like they are coached well. Like they have the quarterback. Like that's 2 big things in football, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the Giants. I mean, they really like build a good team, but I just don't think they're at the level of the Rams, and they were at the level of them in record wise because they came out and they closed some games they shouldn't have. Now, this is a team that probably is looking at a record like the Packers if they were normal. I'm not saying that if they didn't close out those games, they would be like a 5-win team. Like they would be very good, but it's just because they closed out those games. They're in a situation where they're expected to go farther than I think they should, and they beat a team in the Packers where they were flawed, and I think that the Bears took advantage of that, like they did for a lot of other teams they played, and they got to take advantage of it against the Rams. I don't think they will because I don't think the Rams are like the Packers at all, and I think they. Like, I think that's going to be it. I mean, I think
the Rams are.
It's how you're coached, in my
opinion.
They're
a few steps above the Packers. Like this is a different type of team that the Bears are going to be facing this weekend. And I'm just looking at the Bears schedule. I mean, like, you know what annoys me? Like, I just get annoyed when you have a media darling that everybody praises, and it's like they just talk about the good with the team. But like, let's look at the other parts of this. Like again, like the Bears should have lost to the Giants. I'm looking at their wins. They started the season losing to the Vikings and the Lions. They got smoked by the Lions. Okay, I know it's early on, so fine. Okay, they beat the Cowboys, whatever. They beat the Raiders, they beat the Commanders, they beat the Saints. Then they lost to the Ravens. They beat the Bengals without Burrow, I believe. Should have lost to the Giants, but beat them. Beat the Vikings, beat the Steelers, who just, are a fraud. They beat the Eagles on the road. Okay, like I'll give them that one. Lost to the Packers at home. Beat the Browns. So what? Had that comeback against the Packers. Okay, good. But then they lost to the Niners and the Lions to close out the year. I don't know. Like you go through that schedule. Like, am I supposed to be so overly impressed with their body of work? Like I know that nobody thought they were going to be 11-6. But I don't know. Like I'm just like trying to figure out who the Bears really are, and I think, they're a good team, but I think they're on a magic carpet ride, and I think the ride's going to end.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I think that isn't like like they're a good team. They're not like other teams. Like they had a very not soft schedule, but they won the games they should have won, and you can't discredit that. But I think
I mean, I'll
they
give them
should have
credit. They
lost.
beat the Eagles on the road. Like, the Eagles, a lot of problems with the Eagles, but, defending Super Bowl champs, good team. Okay, fine. That's a good win. Um, and the Packers win. Okay, but the Packers win was at home too. And again, they came back in semi-miraculous fashion.
Yeah,
And then they did it again against the Packers. Like, okay, good wins. But I just look at their body of work and it's like, why am I supposed to be like as impressed as a lot of the media people are? I mean, it's just like the Bears, like the Bears are like the greatest thing. And I'm like, okay, like, their comebacks are great, but I don't know how good they are.
yeah, I don't know that either, but
And they're going to meet their match on Sunday. Ben Johnson is going to not only meet his match, he's going to face a better coach than him. So it's like this thing's ended. I feel very confident it's ending this Sunday.
okay, so there's
Now, you call me the Grinch, but it's like
no. I think that
I think what the Bears have done is like it's traumatized. It's like, okay, exciting comebacks, great, but the Packers are a mess. Packers are banged up. I don't know. They can't get out of their own way. The Packers have had, a lot of playoff disappointments now with LaFleur and before that with McCarthy. So it's like, I don't know.
so. Let's get into
Maybe
the.
I'm not giving them their due, but I'm confident it's ending this weekend.
I think I am too, but I'm not giving him. I'm not like I thought they were gonna win. I'm not to say anything. I definitely thought that like the first round. I feel enough respect to give them the first round win, especially against a team that in the Packers who like ever since Micah Parsons has been out. I think it was week 12. They've just been slowly on a decline defensively, and I think that really showed up in that of it. Their defense has slowed down ever since they lost Micah Parsons, and you can't really do that against Ben Johnson. You can't really have your defense slowing down playing them, and you'll get taken advantage of, especially if your offense and Jordan Love isn't really the greatest. Like you don't really have the greatest offense either, even though
Yeah, I
they
mean,
put
you
up
lose
20.
Micah Parsons. Jordan Love's banged up. I mean, again, very good win for the Bears. Another big comeback. Okay, I'll give them their due. It's ending this Sunday. Book it. I'm getting more confident as we talk about it. Like the Rams are for real, and the Rams survived the scare, which we'll talk about that game. They survived the scare, and I think when a team like the Rams survives a scare, like that gets their attention, and then I just think they're going to be on heightened alert the next week, and they know what the Bears are about. They know the Bears' ability to come back. I think it lines up for the Rams to control this game and win the game.
So, Rams and the Panthers, man. I think you predicted this. This is gonna be a close game. I think I did too, because I really like the Panthers. But yeah, I mean, it was a very good showing for Carolina. I think that's all you can say about this game. Very good showing for Carolina in front of their home fans, especially if the team goes 8-9. Like I feel like, oh, why are they in the playoffs? I think I still don't think they still think there's an argument definitely that
I
they shouldn't have
I
been in
was
the
thinking
playoffs. But
about this. I'm sorry, Jack. Continue. I'll wait.
no, that they shouldn't have been in the playoffs. But I feel like they really shut them up. Like for now, with this perform, like I think they really challenged a team that people think could go to the Super Bowl. And
Yeah, I think the Panthers legitimized what they're doing, and I think they were doing good things. Like this was a very successful year for them, but I think they validated what they did this year with this game. I mean, this was clearly
even
their
though
biggest
they,
game of the
yeah,
year, a playoff game. And they went toe to toe. I know they're at home, but whatever. Like they're playing against a really good team with the pedigree and a great coach and a great quarterback and weapons, and a really good roster. So, I mean, the Panthers did a really good job. They legitimately could have won this game. I mean, they were winning going into the last minute, So, I think you got to be impressed with what the Panthers have done. And I'll say this, like the Panthers were 8-9, and usually I'll be very critical of a team that goes into playoffs 8 and 9. They win a bad division. But I thought this after the game between the Rams and Panthers. I'm like, you know, I don't think the NFC South is as bad as people make it out to be. Because you have Tampa in there, and Tampa, they really underachieved this year. I thought Tampa was going to be better. They started the season off well. But Tampa's a legitimate team, and the Panthers beat them out for the division. And then, the Falcons were 8 and 9. I mean, the Falcons, if they had a good coach, I think that would have went a long way. The Raheem Morris hiring was bad to begin with. Like, that was never going to succeed. He wasn't ready for the job. And he's out after 2 years. So, but there's talent on that Falcons team, and they did go 8 and 9. And then you had the Saints. I'm not saying the Saints are good, but man, look at the progress the Saints made. So, that's not as bad a division as it may appear to be. So, yeah, the Panthers were 8 and 9, but it's not like some of these divisions we've seen where it's like, I mean, it's just a joke. The division and then the team that gets in, like, they have no business being in. Like, I kind of think the Panthers were a legitimate playoff team, and then they validated that with their performance against the Rams.
Yeah, I think that they really did. I'm very like,
to be honest with you, I look at the AFC North as a weaker division than the NFC South. Like, I know the Steelers were 10-7, but the Steelers were not any good. Got exposed again in the playoffs. Okay. Enough about the Steelers and model of consistency. They have not been a legitimate contender in years. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson was hurt for multiple weeks, underachieved, a mess of a season. Harbaugh is out. We're going to get to him later on. Burrow was out for a lot of the year with the Bengals. They were bad, atrocious defense, and the Browns are, a disgrace. We know what they are. So it's like, to me, that division,
they're the Cleveland Browns,
is worse than the NFC South.
Yeah, I think
if there's any team in the playoffs where I say is kind of like a fake playoff team, I'd say the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think they validated that.
Well, I think that the Panthers are better for the wild card than the Steelers are, because what the Panthers want to do is they want to prove to people that they can compete, and the Steelers don't. Like, they just want to, like, I don't even know what they want to do. That's the whole point of it. But the Panthers, they want to prove to everyone that they can compete, and I think that even though they're 8-9, I think it was good to have them in the playoffs. Not like, I mean, I'm a big fan of this division format where you get the best team from the division, even if they're 8-9. But they're an 8-9 hungry team, and sometimes that makes for good football, especially against the Rams. So I think they were pretty much the perfect team you could put out there against the Rams, because it was good football to watch. And I think that sometimes teams like that, they go on, and sometimes how 9-8 teams, they really end up not having the juice. And the Steelers really never had the juice. So, it's good to see the Panthers. I think the Panthers are the better team for the playoffs.
Well, that's sometimes why records could be misleading, because it's about your body of work. Like, the Panthers were 8-9, the Steelers were 10-7. Who's a better team? Who do you think would win a head-to-head neutral site matchup?
I think the Panthers, because I think that
I do too.
They played Baker Mayfield as disappointing of a season they had. I mean, Baker Mayfield's a really talented quarterback that you have to put your defense out about a few times a year, and that in itself is just hard task. So and the Steelers, Joe Burrow was out, Lamar, that team was a mess, but you compare that.
The Steelers were bailed out with a 60-yard field goal week 1 with a minute left against the Jets.
Thank goodness.
Like, they easily could have lost to the Jets.
Man, everybody in New York is thanking goodness for Tyler Loop. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they got bailed out. And I think they really did, and I think that it wouldn't.
Tyler who?
Tyler Loop, the kicker for the Ravens, who don't check his social media, please.
Oh, Oh, he's
But
the kicker of the Ravens?
yes,
I don't know his name.
well, I think that
I get what you're saying,
yeah.
right? I get what you're saying.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think everybody's. I think that it
Harbaugh might
wouldn't.
have been out anyway,
And
though.
yeah, yeah, because you see what the owner said. We'll talk about that later. But I think that
Actually, I'm going to say he would have been out because if the Ravens had won the division, I know we get off track a little bit, but the Ravens won the division, they would have hosted the Texans. They were going to lose to the Texans, so Harbaugh would have been out anyway. But I get what you're saying. Like that
but what I'm saying is that I
that
see that
just solidified the firing of Harbaugh.
I'm on social media a lot, and people were like a lot of people were saying great stuff about Mike Tomlin. Not like it's everyone, but like how Mike Tomlin's this, that. I'm like, they won by a field goal. Like they won by a field goal. So I don't really understand everybody defending, Mike Tomlin being like, oh, he went 9-8 two times, like this stuff. Like you would be surprised at how much pro Mike Tomlin stuff there was out there after they won by a field goal. That's why I'm like sitting back and it wouldn't have mattered.
It seems like plenty of Steelers fans have turned against him too, or did.
Well, not after they
They were
lost,
chanting
but I feel
"Fire
like
Mike Tomlin." But I mean, Steelers fans have loved. They still love and appreciate what he did. It just ran its course. I mean, he was there for 19
yeah, it did.
years. Look, he's a really good head coach. You want to call him an excellent head coach? Okay, fine.
Mildly
But it
consistent.
ran its course, and the Steelers lost their last 7 playoff games under him. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. I mean, his last 9 years, they did not win a playoff game.
Yeah.
So it's time for a change. There's other situations too. I mean, Bill Belichick, I mean, it ended really poorly. I mean, they were 4-13 his last year. They missed the playoffs his last 2 years. It's a different ending, but even Belichick, what he did with the Patriots, like it just ran its course, and it was time to move on. I think back to the Giants with Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
It became time to move on. Although maybe you could look back in hindsight now and say, "Oh, the Giants have been a disaster since they fired Tom Coughlin." But things have a shelf life. Particularly with coaches in the NFL and in sports, like it just becomes time to move on. For both sides.
Yeah, not saying Mike Tomlins is great.
Well, he's not an all-time great,
Oh,
and I don't know that anybody's really
everyone.
saying that, but I think that's important. Like, I think in the past he's been made out to be an all-time great coach, and he's not that. I don't even think he's close to that, but he is an excellent head coach, and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. I mean, based on the standards of the Hall of Fame that they have now in modern day, he should be in the Hall of Fame. It's another conversation, but he's leave it at this. He's an excellent head coach.
Yeah.
And he's going to the Hall of Fame.
So let's moving off track, let's get into the Chargers Patriots. I really think this was another game that kind of, even though the Patriots won, they probably won controlling the game. They controlled the game really well, but this kind of moved forward my thoughts that the Patriots are frauds and that they're going to play against the Texans, who are 2 times better than the Chargers, and they're going to lose.
I agree. Well, I wouldn't use the word frauds. I think that's strong.
Oh, fraud! Did I say fraud? I don't think frauds, but I just feel like they have
stick to it. You can think. I mean,
I think that's I respect the heck out of what Mike Vrabel has done, but I just think that they're supposed to be beat, and they're supposed to beat a team like the Texans, and I don't think they will.
I don't know if they're supposed to be.
No, I mean by record. I didn't.
Yeah, but again, record's deceiving.
Yeah, and
it depends on your body of work. Like I think the Texans at 12-5, their body of work was at least we'll call it just as good, like just as good as the Patriots' body of work at 14-3. And look, I think the Patriots are very good. I wasn't impressed with their performance on Sunday night. Certainly not impressed by the Chargers. Like, I don't know with the Chargers, man. Like, I thought Harbaugh coming in, like they were gonna, take the next step, but like they're stuck where they were. I mean, they can't win playoff games. They look bad in the playoffs. I don't know. Like, I think John Harbaugh is a really good coach, but It's something with that Chargers franchise. Like, I don't know, like franchises just they have a culture, and then you bring in a new coach. He's trying to change the culture. Like, we're not there, but there's just something about that franchise. And
Yeah,
maybe next year's the year for them. But man, they just lay eggs in the
it's
playoffs.
just
And
something about when they extended Herbert, they kind of put a lot of eggs in one basket of Justin Herbert, and I just feel like even though the O line has been bad, and I think honestly that you can, I mean, not as an excuse, but you could just say that as a fact. The O line has been awful, but I feel like if you're gonna pay him whatever they paid him, don't know the exact number, he's gonna have to make some plays, be an improviser, and win at least a playoff game or two. So yeah, I was just saying about Justin Herbert is that they're kind of stuck, and I don't feel like his talent is as good as other teams in the AFC and in the NFC. Like Jim Harbaugh has done his best, and now I know the Harbaughs definitely 100%. I don't need to mix them up anymore. But I I just think that Herbert and his talent is just not as good, and I think that's just straight up. The QB, the head of the snake, is just his talent isn't there. And you look at teams, even though this game wasn't about the quarterback, it's feel like Drake May more talented. You look at other teams. Trevor Lawrence, I feel like he's more talented, 100%, and um, Justin Herbert just hasn't really gotten himself over the hump of winning a playoff game in a long time.
yeah, that again, it really is same old Chargers.
Like
So I think the Patriots had a favorable matchup in
yeah,
the wild card round, and the Patriots didn't play particularly well. So again, I think the Patriots are very good, but I feel pretty confident they're going to lose to the Texans. The Texans are for real. I mean, they're a really good football team.
yeah,
They have
and
their great defense. They're good in all phases. They're really well coached. I mean, they're building something here. They have a program. They've won playoff games. How many playoff games have they won under DeMeco Ryans? I mean, they won against the Steelers. They won last year against the Chargers. They played the Chiefs really tough last year,
yeah.
right? That was last year in the divisional round. Yeah. So they have an established program, and they've gotten better and better. And I think the Texans have arrived. Like, they can easily be in the Super Bowl this year. They could win the Super Bowl. I mean, they're really legit, and I like them this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I have two brackets where I talked about my first bracket where I have Buffalo winning, and my second bracket is Texas, Houston Texans winning. I think that's my second bracket. I mean, just you have two brackets on ESPN. I just had to fill another bracket, but I do believe that they could really go far. Like they have the defense that can go far, especially in an AFC like that. I feel like an AFC like that, it's primed for a defensive team to just dominate and get to the Super Bowl and win. And not like they would be any like underdogs, but
Yeah.
they're
Well, I tell you what, like I'm trying to remember back to my bracket. I had
I think
Patriots versus
we both
Texans
yeah.
and Broncos versus Bills.
We both have Houston. I think we both have Houston losing to Buffalo in the
Yeah, but you know what though?
semis.
That's why I really wanted to think about this, because I had the Texans beat the Patriots. I had the Bills beating the Broncos, but then Texans Bills. Honestly, like I like the Texans.
And that was one of my
I
ones
should have
that
picked them last week. I'm wavering on my pick.
yeah, I think that was one of my biggest
And
picks
they'll
of
be
the
home against the Bills.
yeah, and one of my sticking points of the bracket was Buffalo versus Texas, and I think it could go either way. I believe in Buffalo, but I just think that if Josh Allen has this momentum where he wins, where he plays
He's
great
banged
next
up
week,
now. He was getting
yeah,
like
beat up.
beat up, yeah, beat up relentlessly on Sunday. Look, he's really tough, and he'll be all right, but man, he is banged up though.
Yeah, and who
And
knows
there's so
about
much riding on his shoulders. And look, they got a really tough game this week, and like I think they're gonna win. But man, that Broncos defense is really good. I'm kind of concerned that underrated the Broncos all year. I mean, they are the number one seed. They're gonna be rested. Like they obviously could win this game against the Bills, of course. But I'm kind of wavering on that too. Like I think I'll stick with the Bills. But I don't know, man. In terms of Texans Bills in the AFC title game, like I think I'm switching to the Texans.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ones that, like, if Josh Allen comes back, I mean, he's been banged up, but if he really comes out here and dials in against the Broncos, the Texans are a different team in my opinion. Now, like, they're two great defense, but I feel like the Texans are just they are the team built to stop Josh Allen if he is on a roll.
Well, what about the Broncos stopping them?
The Broncos can stop him too, but
I'm wavering on the Bills, man. I don't
same
know.
thing I feel about the Bears and the Broncos. Even though the Broncos are obviously better, I just like they could have lost the Giants, obviously, and I feel like
Yeah, there's just something to be said about having the bye, being rested. Buffalo had a grind of a game against the Jaguars. Josh Allen got beat up the whole game.
their body of work is pretty decent. Like they beat the Eagles, they beat the Texans by 3. Um, they beat the Packers by 8. Jaguars, they lost the Jaguars. Am I even reading this? And then they beat the Chiefs by 7. Like their body of work is pretty good, and they also stomped on the Chargers, even though they really aren't that good. But that we know now.
Well, and then the coaching, they have the advantage, and
Yeah,
I'm taking Sean Payton by miles over Sean McDermott.
yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. It's
I'm just saying, like, just reevaluating it because you go week to week. So
yeah,
last week you think one thing, but then you watch the games unfold. You consider the situation. Like, I'm wavering on that, Jack. Honestly, I'm like thinking about saying, you know what? I changed course. I think it's going to be Texans Broncos.
yeah. The coaching, I mean the advantages with Denver, but I don't know. I went with Bills, and I think that Josh Allen will get it done. And I don't feel like the Broncos are that good. I mean, they are really good, but I just think that they can be beat. So let's let's get into my favorite matchup, my favorite game that happened last week. And you want to guess? I don't think you need to guess. It's the 49ers
Well, the
Eagles.
Eagles losing.
Yeah, my favorite one. I think that I agree that you gave them credit because they are the defending champion. I think you always have to do that. But man, the offensive coordinator, he's canned before we can even get on this show. Um, it was just bad coached, and especially it was weird from a team that was, you know, even though Kyle Shanahan's a master at his craft, I give some. I also, as you said, I give some respect to the Eagles being champions, and I think they should be coached better than that, but I guess not. And Brock Purdy gets it done again. And I think this was a terrible for Philly because of course they lost, and of course everything lost in the first round, and Philadelphia is going to burn down. But San Francisco, they were hurt, and Philadelphia, they get this win, they go into Chicago, but that is what it is. It stopped here, and Brock Purdy comes in there, he delivers, and Jalen Hurts again, 168 passing yards, just not enough. Saquon, I think we did talk about this where the running game is definitely get more involved and they get playoff time. Yes, it was there. But again, where is AJ Brown? And he's not here. 25 yards, 3 receptions, 4 fantasy points if you want to break it down like that. But, not a great game from him at all, and especially the biggest situation. And, it was kind of the big thing is that AJ Brown's, him being outspoken, not like in a negative way.
He can't be acting like that on the sideline. I mean, that's
Yeah.
detrimental to a team.
And I get you want to have constructive criticism comments, but it's a repetition. Like you don't get to have those conversations. You are not Travis Kelsey and Andy Reid. You are talking to Nick Sirianni and you are AJ Brown. It's different. They're both champions, but it's a different feel. Like it feels like when you hear that, of course, Travis Kelsey and Andy Reid are yelling. It makes me feel different because I feel like they're both going to resolve because they're professionals. I don't know about AJ Brown and Nick Sirianni, which I think they are professionals, but you look at
Well, they're professionals in name, but I don't view AJ Brown as a professional, and I don't know how professional Nick Sirianni is. They're not going to fire him, but I, I
they
don't think he
go with the
lasted
offensive
long in
coordinator, even though
Philadelphia. Like
Jalen Hurts is not good. I'm not. Well, he's not. You know, playoff. He's not a very good quarterback, and I feel like they put the offense coordinator on the bus. Who I mean, I get it. He's terrible, but feel like it was a little bit more than just him. I feel like it was the production. I think sometimes we yell at coaches all the time, but I think it's easy to be on social media and yell at a coach or office coordinator or anything that they've done a bad thing and they've run a bad play. But sometimes you got professionals; they can do stuff, and sometimes you just need Jalen Hurts to play well, and he didn't. So I think it's fair to say that Kevin Patula is a terrible coach, but you know sometimes it is about players making plays. So they didn't do that, and it's the best of both. I mean, it's the worst of both worlds if you want to.
their
Bad
offense was
coaching.
such a disaster in the second half. I mean, that was brutal. It's the players, it's the coaches, it's the scheme, it's AJ Brown and his antics. I mean, that's just an absolute mess. And like you said, the Niners are good, but they're very banged up. That's a bad loss for the Eagles. I don't mean to disrespect the
George
Niners
Kittle.
because I
Wow.
think
I
they're
mean,
very
George
good.
Kittle.
But you're home, you're defending Super Bowl champions, and they get out to a lead. Um,
Kittle
again,
changes
they were up
everything, and
13-7. Niners went up first. They scored and went up 7-0. So I, I don't think it's too strong to say that that's a bad loss for Philadelphia.
no, it is. It definitely is. No matter if the 49ers were healthy or not, it's a terrible loss for Philly. And I think it's terrible loss because everybody predicted that not because everybody predicted they don't care about that, but I just feel like defending champions, you have to hold your title, and you don't want to lose it that early. And there's a lot of questions about Jalen Hurts, even though he won a championship. This could have been the time for him to shut whatever haters he has up, and also with AJ Brown, he had a wishy-washy season. He had an opportunity to shut these haters up and perform, and he didn't. And the same with Jalen Hurts, and you know they sometimes you want to flip the switch in the playoffs, but it's hard to flip the switch than I think people think, and that's the biggest message I get out of a game like this is it's hard to flip the switch than people think. Like I know the regular season is the
It
regular
definitely
season,
is.
but it's hard to flip the switch than people think. I mean, especially with the Eagles that they are the defending champions, you would think it'd be a little bit easier for them, but it's not, and it's hard, especially if you're not coached well to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, they never got it going this year. It was a real grind. They were 11-6, but it kind of feels like they weren't 11-6. Like they, the offensive issues they had, and just the chaotic nature of their culture and their team.
I mean, it worked, but
It looked all year like they weren't getting back to the Super Bowl. Like they have a good year. There's a lot of talent.
they're not that talent. I mean,
But
they're not that team. Like talent wise, they could be, but I just don't think they run that. They don't. The coaching, and I keep saying it. The coaching, the personality, the attitudes of the players. I don't think that they're a team that could go through a grind again. Like they got to Super Bowl, it's a grind, but I don't think they were able to do it again. Like honestly, with the personalities on the team and with just everything, the coaching. I don't think the coaching was ready to go through another grind of a playoffs. I just don't think they were ready. And honestly, I think the 49ers are a better team.
And it's tough to fire Sirianni right now.
No,
I mean,
no, 100% not. I don't think they
he's
should.
been the coach 5 years, made the playoffs 5 times, went to Super Bowl twice, almost beat the Chiefs
Ridiculously
first
funny
time.
how
Then they just
quickly he started.
manhandled them last year. So like it's tough to fire the guy with that body of
Yeah,
work, but I, I'm pessimistic about them going forward. I think they either get stagnant here or they decline. I don't know that they get this together. It's too chaotic. It's too messy. Um, and I think they could do better than Sirianni. Like it's just so tough to fire the head coach with the body of work and what they've done. But I certainly don't see it ending well. Like I think at some point, like it's really gonna implode,
yeah.
and it's just not gonna end well.
But I think that the biggest thing from last season, they really, relied on Saquon Barkley, and even though he had a great game, I just feel like it's not sustainable to rely on someone like that. And as much as he's great, and we all know that, and Giants fans definitely know that, but I don't think he's. I don't think relying on him like you did last year is ever going to happen again. I feel like even though we respect the championship, I just don't. I feel like there's a perfect storm, and I know I say this at a straight hatred, and I understand that, and I understand how people could understand I have bias, but you know, I feel like last year it was a lot of the perfect storm and how they ran their offense straight through Saquon and how Jalen Hurts was able to, had the perfect situation around him. This year was a little bit less, and you see what Jalen Hurts does offensively. It's way downhill. And I think last year was the perfect situation for Saquon. I mean, not for Saquon, for Jalen Hurts, and they ran it right through Saquon. So, as much as I respect them as champions, and they are, I'm not even say bias, but the real take I have is that last season was a perfect storm for them, and not they come back to what they are. I think they are better than a first. I think the talent they have. I think they shouldn't be like settled to the first round exit, but you know their future isn't as bright as I think that even. I don't think their future is bright.
I agree. Like I said, I expect them to be stagnant next year, like in the same place, or even regress next year. I don't see how anybody could be optimistic that they're going to take steps forward next year.
No, and I think that whatever people try to say is about the year when they lost to Tampa and then they won the Super Bowl. I think this is different, 100% different, and because this was a like they had a collapse and they collapsed and I just think this is who they are, and I know like I don't think they're gonna get the road to Super Bowl that they did last year, and they're gonna if they are gonna grind the regular season like they did for the last year, they're not going to be good in the playoffs because the NFC is very good. And like a team like the 49ers, they beat you, and I don't even think they're not even the top of like the top. And it's going to take real big, changes in a good way for the Eagles to make a run in this NFC. It's different now, in my opinion. The NFC, 100%.
Yeah, the NFC is stronger than the AFC, and I don't know how the Eagles stack up against these elite NFC teams going forward. I think these other contenders in the NFC have a better thing going right now. They have a better program. Um, it's more cohesive and just they don't have the major issues that the Eagles have, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. And what a disaster that was in the second half against San Francisco. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the Eagles, they got a lot to be concerned about.
Yeah, and then we'll get into the Jaguars Bills. This was a game that
It's
I
just a
was
phenomenal game.
very good.
I mean, that went back and forth. You had 4 lead changes in the fourth quarter. I think that was the first time in NFL history that happened in a playoff game. I mean, to me, I don't know. Like, I think that was the best game in a weekend. Just the way that went back and forth in the fourth quarter. That was dramatic.
Yeah, I think it was.
It's tough. I mean, you look at Bears, Packers, and Rams, Panthers. Those are really good too. But that Jaguars Bills game was phenomenal,
Yeah,
and the Jaguars are very good. I mean, they got a tough draw in the first round. They're home, but they got to play the Bills. Like that's a tough wild card matchup. I mean, that game's more like a divisional round, their AFC title game.
yeah,
I it's crushing loss for Jacksonville, but they're very good. Like you had two very good teams going head to head in the wild card round, and the game was just terrific. Again, it was like AFC title level football.
it was, and I think that Jacksonville, you know, played really well and showed that even though they're 13 and 4 and they were so much better than the Panthers, I kind of have the same thing with the Panthers as I do with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And not like they're the same team at all, but I just feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars are a team that they're just that right now, as we talked about, they're proving that like what they did worked,
Yeah.
and they did it in a big way. And even though they lost, and it stinks to prove why your thing that you're running is going to work, and losing it stinks. You don't want to lose ever, but you know it happens, and they proved that they can do stuff with Trevor Lawrence that's very impressive, and it is great to see, especially with the wide receiver core that wasn't really impressive, and you know you Liam Cohen's first year, and I think they really overachieved, and 100% they did. I don't. That's not really a question. I don't know why I said that because obviously they overachieved, but you know, and bigger news that they really proved why what they are doing is working with Liam Cohen, and why they picked him up last offseason.
Yeah. I don't think their season was fluky by any means. I think this is something that'll endure. I
Yeah,
mean, Cohen did coming in, Lawrence, really, raising his game. And, he showed signs earlier in his career, and the Jaguars had a couple down years. But they got a really good thing going.
yeah,
And it sets up to be quite a battle in the AFC South between them and Houston. Like, we'll see what Indianapolis does now. Um, that's a good division. I mean, the Titans are a long way off, but that's a very
yeah. I
good division.
remember
The
when
Jaguars, Texans, and again, we'll see with the Colts. But Jags versus Texans certainly sets up to be a real battle in that division.
Yeah, but the AFC South, I think it's a weird division because earlier this season we were like I think both of us were like, here, damn, just take the division, Jaguars. We don't think you're good, but here, take the division because we don't trust Daniel Jones, the Texans. I mean, whatever. Um, so we're just here, damn, take the thing, Trevor Lawrence. You're gonna make the playoffs, and you're probably gonna lose first round. But they're different now. I think that the way the Texans are defensively, and they're not going to go away because CJ Stroud is very young, and I think we need to remember that. Um, they have a core there, and then you look at Indianapolis. I mean, bringing back Daniel Jones after that terrible injury, they bring him back, and you still are dealing with Jonathan Taylor, and I think that in itself, Jonathan Taylor in itself is something you have to deal with, especially the Jaguars and Texans, and then the Titans. You know, they're due. They're due to win more than 3 games. So, the AFC South, it's different now, and I think it's better, and I like the competition there 100%.
So then we covered all of wildcard weekend, and we talked Texans Steelers before.
Yeah.
I think we covered that game well. I mean, again, the Steelers, they're a mess. Gonna have a new coach. Um, and the Texans just left no doubt. I know it was 7-6 at the end of the third quarter, but the Texans dominated that game. Um, so the Steelers again go out early in the playoffs. That's 7 playoff losses for them
Yeah.
in a row. So then the divisional round. I mean, we integrated the divisional round into our conversation, but why don't we just go through the games quickly, make picks? Just a few thoughts on each matchup this upcoming weekend. So Saturday, the first game is Bills Broncos. So
We
I
talked.
think you're
Yeah,
sticking with the Bills.
I'm sticking with the Bills, and I honestly think that this could go. I mean, I think that it's fit 60-40 in my opinion. I think that the way the Bills played, the way Josh Allen's a little banged up, the team to take advantage of that would be the Denver Broncos. One of the teams in the league that would take advantage of that would be Denver, and they're really coached well. As as much as I really disrespect them, and I'm going to say that straight up, I disrespect them. They're coached really well, and they're a team that's going to really, if you want to beat them, you're gonna have to. It's gonna take a lot. So it's gonna be a good game. Another one of those games that we hope goes down to the wire, and another great matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to change my mind on this game. I'm going to go with Denver. They're home, really well coached, really good defense, rested. I don't say it confidently, but again, like you got to assess week to week. And yeah, I made my picks before the playoffs, but looking at it right now, I can't say it with great confidence, not even much confidence, but I just think that Denver's going to get it done at home.
And I think that they are at home. That's huge. So we'll see. I think this is gonna be another great matchup. Now we got 49ers Seahawks. 49ers, and this when I picked the Seahawks in my bracket. I thought George Kittle wasn't going to snap his Achilles, but it happened, and that stinks. But it really does. I hope that his recovery is smooth because they're a team that really was banged up with injuries whole entire season. I know it's NFL football and it happens. You're playing tackle football, but injuries like that you never want to see happen. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick with the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks, even the San Francisco 49ers, won with their coaching last game and with their defense. I don't think their defense can keep up with Seahawks. I just feel like it's not. They don't have enough, straight up. And I think they have enough. I think they definitely have the coaching advantage, but I just personnel wise, they don't have enough.
Seattle's a really tough place to play. That place could be rocking. They're rested. The Niners are just too banged up. If they weren't this banged up, I would heavily consider picking them, but
Just
I just can't see them overcoming all that.
so you were saying about the
I just can't see the 49ers overcoming their injuries. And, again, there's something to be said about the bye and being home. It clearly matters. Most of the time, the teams that have the bye and are home win. So I just think it's too much for San Francisco. So I think Seattle will advance here.
yeah, I think they will too. Um,
I think Seattle will cover too. They're 7-point favorites. I think it'll be close throughout most of the game, but I think by the end of the game, let's say it's a 10-point margin.
Texans Patriots. I think I'm gonna go Texans here. I already exhausted why I think the Texans are gonna win, but it, this is it's gonna be another good battle.
Yeah, I feel good about the Texans here. They're
Yeah,
for real. They have more experience. I think both coaches are really good. I think DeMeco Ryans has really shown that he's excellent. They got a real program going here. So I think this is the next step for Houston. They win this game and they get to the AFC title game. They're 3-point underdogs, which the home team usually gets 3 points. So the betting line is pretty much saying it's an even game. I think the Texans are more well rounded. They're more experienced. I,
Sam
I think
Darnold.
it's their time to go to the next step. I think it'd be a close game. I think Texans um, by a touchdown, could even be a field goal game. But I like them.
Yeah, I like them. I do. I think the Texans are a team that the Patriots haven't really seen. So, it's gonna be where the Patriots fall short. Now, speaking of falling short, we got Rams Bears, and I think we both agree the Rams are gonna win this.
Yeah, this is where it ends for the Bears.
Yeah.
The
So,
Rams are going to control the football game. They're not going to blow a lead. They're incredibly well coached. Yeah, I feel good about this one.
So the Giants have landed John Harbaugh. I think we kind of skipped around this, but let's talk about this. I really want it. John Harbaugh to the Giants. He went into MetLife for or whatever the facility is for about a whole day, and went to Baltimore, came back, signed whatever he did, went back to Baltimore and whatever, and then he really enjoyed his time in New York, and the Giants locked him up. Um, uh, this is great. I think that the Giants, they need stability, and they're gonna get it. I think they honestly are, and I think that John Harbaugh is the safest get. No matter what people think, I think he's a safe get, and what the Giants need is safety there. And especially with a player like Jackson Dart, I think they kind of, in the way that they failed Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones has stuff that whatever he did, but I think they don't want to do that for Jackson Dart. They don't want to fail him at the Daniel Jones, and also Daniel Jones did fail himself, but you know, um, they failed him. They gave him a lot of gave him a lot of coaches. They gave him a lot of coordinators, like everything. But what they want to do is they want to give him stability, and I think that's what they learned from their past mistakes, and they need stability. And John Harbaugh was the best stability they can get on the market.
I feel like there's not that much to talk about for this hire because it's just to me an obvious hire. Like he became available. The Giants had an opening. He's the guy. Like it just makes perfect sense for both sides. I mean, he's going to coach the New York Giants now in the biggest market in the country, in the world, for a classic franchise that's been bad for quite a long time now. Um, it just makes perfect sense for both sides. It's a no-brainer for the Giants. And for Harbaugh, I think it's a really good opportunity. I mean, he walks into a franchise that has been bad for a while now. But the Giants are still a good operation. Going from the top with ownership and just the culture of the franchise, the history of the franchise. He's not walking into something that's chaotic. He's walking into something that has not worked for a while.
Yeah,
And you've seen a lot of bad football for a while now, but it's not like he's going into a chaotic, bad organization. He's not going to coach the Jets. He's not going to coach the Browns. Any of these other organizations too that have openings. Like he's going to coach the New York Giants. He brings instant credibility. You have the quarterback. Hopefully, you get their key guys back healthy. Um, it just makes perfect sense.
it does, and it does. It makes 100% perfect sense,
And I think
and
it's going to work to some degree. Like, I don't know if it's going to wind up in a Super Bowl appearance or Super Bowl championship or multiple Super Bowl championships. Like, it could. But I think you're guaranteed for the Giants to now get good again.
well, I think you're guaranteed for what he's going to bring in. I think you're guaranteed for a All Pro QB. Not guaranteed. You can't guarantee anything, but you're guaranteed your quarterback to be able to flourish. I think you're guaranteed that, and I think that anything else happens with that about that is on John Harbaugh. But I think that you're guaranteed that, and he comes to a situation where he has weapons, and I think that that's different from a lot of situations that are bad. And he has, as much as I say Joe Shane is this and that, at least you got a GM. At least you got a guy you can talk to that's been in the organization for more than a year. I know that sometimes, coaches don't want that, but that's got to show something that you have to have a little bit of stability. Not
Well,
the
and John Harbaugh had his pick of the litter. Like other teams badly wanted him. So like if Joe Shane wasn't a fit for him, if he didn't want to work with Joe Shane, then he wouldn't have went to the Giants. So I think it's clear that he thinks enough of Joe Shane to take the job.
yeah.
Because again, like the options are open to Jim Harbaugh. Like, everybody has an opening wants Jim Harbaugh to be their coach. So I think it says a lot that he took the Giants job and he's comfortable working with Shane. And again, it just makes perfect sense. It's like as soon as he became available, it's like, okay, he's going to be the Giants coach. He should be the Giants coach.
Yeah. I think 100%. I mean, it was a very good, a very perfect storm for the Giants. He comes available, opening. Yeah, and everybody you talked to had good things to say about the Giants, and I think it comes from Brian Dable. He had great things to say about the Giants, and that's kind of what It's not the Giants. As the Giants are not a dis dysfunctional. I think that they're not dysfunctional. I think
No, they've just been bad, and it's surprising they've been this bad for this long. Like it
like I
just doesn't make any sense for the organization that they've had, and they've had other times in their history where they were bad and really bad. But it's a good organization. It's a well-run organization. They don't have chaos. Like the Giants have never had chaos. They've always had stability. So, despite the long run here of losing seasons and bad football, Harbaugh is going into a good situation.
Yeah, and it's a good situation compared to what he. I mean, he's a head coach on the market, and he's only gonna go to teams that need head coaches, and you're not gonna end up being on a picture perfect situation where red carpets aligned for you to make the Super Bowl. I mean, happen to basketball, but that doesn't happen. Like especially football, that doesn't happen. I mean, if he didn't accept the Giants job right away, he would have talked to the Falcons and the Titans. Like, you understand what I'm saying here? With that, he wouldn't have went to teams that his options weren't teams that were perfect, and they aren't supposed to be. And I think the Giants were the closest thing you can get from not to perfect. It's that terrible. Not what you want to say here, but they're the closest team to what he wants to be with, what he can jumpstart. He's the closest team that he thinks that he can jumpstart.
And his personality, his style, the way he coaches, the way he goes about his business, like he's a Giants guy. Like it's a great fit. It just makes so much sense. And I think it's rare where you have these situations where just like, okay, this just makes total sense. This is a great fit. Like it just this guy, as soon as he became available, it's like, all right, he should be, and he's gonna be the Giants coach.
Yeah. So
You
this
look
was
at these other jobs, it's like these other jobs don't even come close to the Giants. You talk about the Falcons. Come on, the Atlanta. You go coach the Atlanta Falcons.
the
You go coach the New
Titans.
York Giants.
Yeah.
I never thought for a second he'd go to coach the Atlanta Falcons. It's like, no, the Giants' job's available. They got a quarterback. They have young talent. Good organization, classic organization, stability. That's the job.
Yeah.
The Giants
It's
fans
not
got to feel good.
perfect.
Like,
Like
I
he's
don't know
not.
about next year. You know, next year could be another um, struggle of a season. Just like building. I don't know. I mean, like you can't write them off for next year. Like teams make big turnarounds. I mean, look at the Patriots this year. Um, Look at the Jaguars this year, right? Were the Jaguars 4-13 last year?
Or even look at a team like the slower kind of incline. The Panthers. We keep saying this, but Panthers slower incline, but
Yeah,
could be a way that the Giant like the Panthers were a team that were at the bottom of nothing. Like they were competing with the Giants. Like and now they're E9 team respectable. Like I think that's more of the thing I'm expecting
that's a
than
good point. I mean, to expect to be the Jaguars or the Patriots, like 13-4, 14-3. All right, like I don't think that's happening. But yeah, the Panthers are a good example. I mean, if the Giants are that next year, I think you got to take that. And then it's the next year where it's like, okay, now it's you got to make the playoffs.
yeah.
But they're like, now it's a situation where the light is at the end of the tunnel. Um,
Yeah.
and I think you were seeing that light, but now that light's really bright. And I think as a Giant fan, you got to be very optimistic that the Giants are going to build something for a while now. No guarantee of a championship, no guarantee of a Super Bowl appearance, but like you're going to be in the mix. You're going to be a contender. You're going to be back in the playoffs.
Well, I think the biggest thing
And I
right
think your hope is that John Harbaugh is the next Tom Coughlin.
yeah. I think that the biggest thing right now is the Giants have the most two important positions in football, and it is head coach and quarterback. And I think that we're gonna say this a lot, but that's the biggest thing.
Of course it is.
Like Not like Jackson Darts, like those like when we say head coach quarterback, we're thinking of Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, but that doesn't have to be it. We just have a head coach and a quarterback, and the quarterback can do stuff that all pro level he can, but it can just you have a solid quarterback and a solid head coach and a very stability head coach, and it's what you need.
Yeah, it sets up really nicely. So it's a great day for Giants fans.
Thank goodness. And I think the light of the tunnel came from the personnel. Now you have a guy like now you have the guy, the face to the personnel that you had play well with Dable when you had that crazy game against the Eagles. I still don't understand how they did it, but they did it. They beat the Eagles. So that game, you look at it and it's a bright light at the end of the tunnel, but it's just because of personnel. Now the light gets brighter because you have a face to the personnel. I feel like.
Yeah, you have the guy to put it all together.
Yeah, and a guy that if you want to do anything, we'll put it all together. And you don't got to get rid of your GM. I think that's big too. I keep saying it. Like Joe Shane, as much as I criticize him, you don't have to get rid of him. Like I think it's good to have stability up at top at top of your organization.
Yeah,
Like
and again, a guy
you don't
like
have to, you don't
Harbaugh
need to.
has the pick of the litter with these coaching jobs. So if he really didn't like Joe Shane and didn't think it was going to work with him, then he wouldn't take the job, and he could get a job with one of these other teams,
Maybe once,
and these other teams will pay out the nose for him. So I think it says something.
maybe makes me want to rethink the Saquon thing. I mean, it sucks, but like you know, you look at where the Giants are now. I mean, it's like you had to give a Saquon. It sucks where he went, but the Eagles got a champ. They got a championship, but where are they going to be? They're going to be stale for. They could be stale for the next few years, and you're on the come up. So not saying that 100% exonerating Joe Shane, but it makes you rethink it. Like, is it just blown over by the media of like, oh, it's a media. The media can just definitely pounce on the Giants, let a superstar player go away to the Eagles. Like that's straight media bait. Like this media is going to eat that up. So maybe that could just be that. So
I don't think it matters at this point.
yeah, I don't think it does. 100% don't think it
It's
does.
a scar for Giants fans. But what are you gonna do? You're gonna keep dwelling on it? Like there's nothing you could do now. It's painful. It was really painful for you guys, to watch the Eagles do what they did last year with Saquon and him being the MVP of that team. Yeah, really painful. But you know what? Now you're a couple of years removed from that. You got your guy as head coach. You got your guy as quarterback. You have young talent. Your trajectory looks up. And it is. You should feel very good about that. And then for your main competitor, the Eagles, like it looks like they could be on the way down. There's no guarantee of that, but like you have a situation here where it could very well be the Giants are ascending, the Eagles are descending. You see with the Commanders, that they bounce back. The Cowboys just always count on them being a mess. You look at your division.
Yeah,
And look, there's a lot of work to do, but things are in place for the Giants to get to where you want them to go.
it is, and I think that the Giants. It's gonna be. It's gonna be it's going to be a fun season next year. And the Giants, with getting a head coach, it is great for the franchise, but it also tied the fans back in and the fans that were, down on the team. And I think deservedly so. Now I have a reason to cheer next season. So it's good to see.
Yeah, again, as a Giants fan, you got to be feeling really good today. There's a high today, him getting hired, and eventually, things settle and then it's down to business. But you got to feel really good. You got to be excited, and you'll be excited going into next year. I just pulled up the Giants' schedule. I'm curious what their schedule is for next year.
100% is later than last year.
I'll run through it. Like, okay, you know your divisional matchups.
Roger Goodell's going to get a call if it's not.
What's that?
No, if it's not as late, if it's not later than last year, Roger Goodell. But I'm gonna say something.
Yeah,
Last
well, again, your division, like, okay, Cowboys, you know, they're okay, but they're always a mess. Commanders, it'd be interesting to see what they do, bounce it back. Expect the Eagles to be good.
and maybe you could steal
The
one from
Eagles
the
aren't going to
Eagles.
fall off the map. They're going to be good.
Mm,
Hey, they go to the Texans. They got a really tough one there. They go to the Colts. Tough game. Should be a winnable game next year, though. Man, they go to the Rams. Okay, then Arizona at home. Got to take care of there. Niners at home is tough. Jaguars at home is tough. Tennessee at home. You got to take care of that. At Seattle. At Detroit. Man, this is a tough schedule. And then you got Cleveland and New Orleans at home. Got to take care of Cleveland. I know New Orleans improved a lot this year, but that's the only one you're going to win. That's not an easy schedule. I mean, it's not the gauntlet that this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough again. I don't think that. I think that it could be a season where the Giants go from 4 to 6 wins, and that the record isn't what they are.
I think 6 would be disappointing. That's not much of a leap. Um, like you said with the Panthers, they were 8-9. Like, the Giants are that next year. But let's see. Like, let's see the offseason. Let's see free agency. Let's see trades. Let's see the draft. Like, you just don't
Let's
know.
see what you hire.
I don't think you could sell it short. Like, you in the NFL, you could turn around really quickly.
Yeah.
But again, like, there's just so much we don't know yet because things haven't happened. We have to go through the offseason. We have to go through the NFL draft. You have to get into, I'll say OTAs. I mean, whatever, go to training camp. Like, there's a lot to happen before the Giants kick off the season in early September.
So yeah, let's switch gears for the last second. Let's talk about some Kyle Tucker to the. I mean, the Mets. They're in the sweepstakes again. This is I feel like it's Steve Cohen's time of year to put some money down. So here we go. This is in time for the top free agent, and the Mets are in. I mean, if they lose out on this one, it's hard. This is a lot more, you know, suspenseful than I think. I mean, a lot more critical to get him than other free agents.
Yeah, it's clear the Mets need to make a big move. It's been a horrible offseason for them. So they need to get this done.
Yeah, they have to,
They
and I
have the
think
money. Like, money's not a thing for Steve Cohen. So he said he's going to come in and spend the money
for
and go
now,
all in. And look, he has spent a lot of money in his tenure, no question about it. But he's got to rectify this offseason because it's been horrible.
yeah, I don't think you can just be like, oh, we put all of our chips on the table, and if he doesn't sign, he doesn't sign. I really am against that. I feel like right now, yes, it'd be great to feel like that way if you were another team, especially the Blue Jays. They put all their chips on the table. Yeah, they're gonna wait back, but what the Mets have done this offseason, they can't just be like that team. And I don't want to be like, oh, you got to overspend, but sometimes you got to, and sometimes you can't just sit back, offer a contract. You have to really want this guy. And I think they went out 200 for 4, and that's the offer on the table. I mean, 50 million per year for 4 years. And I think it's gonna. You can't really. It depends. You gave him an offer on the table, and you're gonna. He gave 3 years and he gave 4 years. So Steve Cohen wants this guy, and when Steve Cohen puts his mind to it, I feel like he gets guys, and this is
Yeah.
where
Oh, he did it with Soto.
and he's offering $50 million AAV. It's hard. It's hard for human beings to leave 50 million per year off the table, and we'll see.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where you just have to get the job done. You have to get the guy. Money's not a thing for Cohen and the Mets. You got to get it done.
So it's could go down today. It's go down tomorrow. So
yeah, we're about a month away from spring training. The
Yeah,
offseason drags on in baseball, and sometimes you get signings right before spring training, but enough's enough with the Mets. I mean, they have to make this splash here.
yeah, but I think this is gonna happen anytime soon. Um, yeah, just the figures are getting put out, like everything's happening. So, yeah, we'll see. I hope 100% would be very happy if the Mets got this done. And I'm kind of pessimistic. I think you can't hate that because what I've gone through this whole entire offseason. Like I've gone through war. I haven't. I'm just a fan. But what I've gone through this whole entire season was, I'm just pessimistic right now what they can do. But Steve Cohen has the money. On that side, I am optimistic a little bit. But the
Yeah,
Blue
for the
Jays,
Mets, there's reasons to be optimistic. There's reasons to be pessimistic.
yeah.
It's a mixed bag.
But we'll see. I think if they get Tucker, this really can shape the offseason in a good way. I think they go pivot to getting a bigger time arm. I think they won't. I mean, if you don't sign Tucker, let's be honest here. Like, you really go out and try to get a big time arm. Like what's like kind of like you know you're trading for a big time arm after you get Tucker. It's if you don't get Tucker, I think if you get Tucker, it really opens a lot of stuff up. So they really need this 100%. We're on Tucker watch, and I want him now. So yeah, it's gonna do it for this episode of Jacked Up Being Frank. Hit a lot of stuff. Can't wait for the NFL to get going. I mean, for the playoffs to get back up and running. With the Saturday and Sundays, they kind of a lot of time without football. But you also see what the Giants hire, who John Harbaugh brings in. Next kind of checklist, if you're a Giants fan, checking off what's going to happen this offseason. Who is he bringing in? You think office coordinator Todd Monken is going to come in from the Ravens, but who knows? So that's another checklist there. We'll see that. And then we'll also, MLB, it's getting down. It's getting down, and you see players that are pretty good baseball players that are still on the market with a month left till spring training. And, big time stuff happening in the sports world. So update. We'll give you an update next week, and hopefully something big happens. We'll see you.
See you next week.